Why is getting home from preschool or kindergarten so hard, and what can we do to make it easier for everyone? So I have this little habit of finding grandparents and kind of cornering them with questions about parenting. It's so interesting to glean from the wisdom that they have and the years of experience. Of course, the world has changed so much since they were parenting, but there are still some things that are completely true. Now, one of those things that I find so interesting, it comes up, it's like a common thread that comes up with so many of the people that I talk to, is that this thing of the first 30 minutes to an hour after getting home from daycare, preschool, kindergarten, school, all of the things, all of the years, is really hard. So why is this? Why haven't we figured out some kind of miracle hack that can just stop this from happening? We call this after school restraint collapse. Now, I want you to hold your body up tight just for a minute. Do this exercise with me. Suck your stomach in, pull your rib cage together, put your back up straight, shoulders back, stand up in like the straightest stance that you can stand with everything squeezed together, and now hold it. And now imagine holding that posture for hours. This is kind of the experience that our children may have when it comes to school settings. They have, their game face on, their A game, because they are with their peers, they are wanting to show up as like the best version of themselves. And on top of that, a school environment, even a daycare and preschool environment, naturally demand that our children are using their higher thinking centers, they are, practicing all of that executive function. There's a lot of sensory stimulation that is coming in, and there's also a high demand for concentration. And then when they get home, it's kind of like that boat docks into its safe harbor of home, and all of that stress or overstimulation just comes flooding out. Today we're going to be sharing 4 ways that we can really support our children in this, so that really it can be easier for them, that process of getting home feels good for your child, but that it also feels good within the atmosphere that you are creating within your home. And these tips will work for really any age group of child. One thing that I did want to just say before we get into those tips is that often when we see our child melting down when they're getting home, our immediate reaction, our natural go-to response is, there must be something wrong with the school or the preschool or the daycare. They are showing me that this is too hard for them, that they're not enjoying it, that this is not a good fit for them. Now, I don't want to completely say that's not the case, because it might be, but if a school or a daycare or a preschool is a bad fit for your child for whatever reason, especially when they are private and there are places that are a little bit less kind of monitored, we want to be seeing red flags not only in the way that our child responds when they get home, because that after school restraint collapse is something that is, as I said, grandparents know it from the time that they were parents. It is something that is like more common. So we don't want to be using that as our only red flag to judge how our child is managing in this new school or preschool setting. We want to kind of look more broadly at different things. So let's get into those 4 tips. Also, just as a reminder, there are always freebies and different things down in that description box. So if you want to come and get some of those, make sure to go check that out. So the 4 tips for kind of settling into making after school restraint collapse less of a big deal and making it flow a little bit easier within your family is, firstly, to just realize that this is actually pretty common, that a lot of families experience this exact same thing of their child coming home and really struggling. So we can kind of take it off of our shoulders that we've done something wrong, that there's something wrong with our child, or that there is definitely something wrong with the school setting. So just release that from yourself, that this is pretty common, and that will really help you to step into some active problem solving. The second thing, and this is a big one, it's an easy trap to fall into. We see that they're struggling when we get home, so we think, well, let's put something fun in the afternoon. Let's go on a fun outing, or let's go do something else that will kind of distract them from melting down. And actually this does the opposite. We know that our children at the moment, with this new busy world that we live in, have a lot of stimulation coming in, and I'll link a video that I did above all about overstimulation in toddlers. But we want to really, especially in those first few weeks and months of starting a new kind of system of school, make sure that we are slowly letting our children enter home. Don't overstimulate them, because maybe it will stop the meltdown happening right now, but in the big picture, this is really leading to more overstimulation. So we want to rein it back and keep those afternoons low and slow. So thirdly, this one has been such a game changer for our family, is to have a clear first step when your child gets home. Every single time they come home, there is a clear first step that is waiting for them. It makes them feel like their environment has been prepared for them, that they have been waited for when they get home. So for us, this is their lunchtime, but it might be a snack in your house. And if you are getting home at the same time as your child, this can be something as simple as that you have a bag of nuts or fruit that is ready on the counter that you put there before you get home. You're just basically welcoming your child in with that first step of something that they would do. And eating is generally a great one, but if it's not according to a mealtime, you might want to do something like a hot drink or a nice cold drink, something that kind of, again, gives them that feeling of being invited in. And that brings us to the last point, which is something that you actually, if you look back at your schooling history, might relate to this. Me and my girlfriends, we always had this joke that whenever we got home, everybody just put pajamas on, and it was like we lived in our pajamas. And that kind of feeling of getting home and putting on your comfy clothes and kind of snuggling into that home experience is really what we want to create for our children. Again, I said, we want to make those afternoons and that time of warming back into home to be low and slow. Think about putting on pajamas. Maybe you have a story time, or according to your house, maybe you have some TV time. This, I would recommend that it's kind of low stimulation TV, so nothing that's too fast paced, nothing that's too loud. We want it to be TV that kind of feels relaxing. Like think about like an old Disney movie. We have also really enjoyed using different sensory materials at this time. Things like weighted blankets or sitting on a swing, being outside in your back garden and just getting that like fresh air. These kind of things to, again, just welcome your child in can be so helpful. The next thing that I really love to do is give our children a sensory activity to go straight into. This, again, doesn't make them focus in on those executive function skills. It's like a release, it's more of a body experience, and it's something that they can really enjoy, and again, just like sets them up for a better afternoon at home or evening, depending on where you live. So this could be something like, we had one stage where we did lots of paints, like we would make paints, we'd have paint pouring and that kind of thing. It could be a simple water bin, or it could be one of my favorite things to do when it comes to sensory play, which is good for all ages, which is ice play. Now we have a video coming out next week which is all about ice play, so make sure to hit that subscribe button and come and like the channel so that you can get that video too. I'll see you then.